This video was inspired by Spino Edits, a fellow Jurassic YouTuber who recently shared his thoughts on ranking every Tyrannosaurus Rex in the franchise. And honestly, it got me thinking, because if there is any individual species in Jurassic history that deserves its own ranking, it is absolutely the Tyrannosaurus Rex. No other dinosaur has appeared as many times, been written in as many different ways, or sparked as many debates as the T-Rex. So today, I want to give my own take, ranking every major T-Rex in the Jurassic World franchise, based on feats, combatability, presence, and overall impact, of course. We'll go through them in chronological order, the contenders, and then I'll rank them. And yes, before anyone asks, Junior is excluded, because he was literally just a baby. With that out the way, like and subscribe, and let's begin. The contenders are Roberta / Rexy from Jurassic Park, Buck and Doe from The Lost World, Bull from Jurassic Park 3, Big and Little Eatie from Camp Cretaceous, and Ember from Rebirth. Now we have our Rexes, let's get into the ranking. Coming in at the bottom of this list is Ember from Jurassic World Rebirth. And unfortunately, this is not a controversial placement. Ember is practically featless. The most notable thing this T-Rex does on screen is almost flip a raft. And even that moment feels underwhelming compared to what we expect from a Rex. For a large portion of its screen time, Ember is either inactive or asleep, which seriously hurts its presence and threat level. The only confirmed kill is a Parasaurolophus that happens entirely off screen, meaning the audience never actually sees Ember dominate anything. What really hurts is that Ember was originally meant to kill the Distortus Rex in an early cut of the film, which would have massively elevated its status, but the scene was scrapped and is no longer canon. As it stands, Ember simply does not do enough to justify ranking higher. Bull from Jurassic Park 3 is one of the most disappointing T-Rexes in the franchise. Not because it was weak, but because it was wasted. Bull appears for roughly a minute and exists almost entirely to establish the Spinosaurus' villain arc and to make it a threat. This Rex was actually the heaviest Tyrannosaurus ever shown in the franchise. Well, we don't know Ember's yet, he might be heavier, but you get what I mean, which should have made it terrifying, but the film never lets it show its power. Bull manages to land one solid neck bite and, pushes Spino around, which makes it tough to kill, but plot armor quickly takes over and ends the fight. Bull's entire role was to get knocked out so the audience would fear the Spino, and because of that, it never gets the chance to build a legacy or a meaningful presence. Absolutely neck snapped, KO'd. Minus 10,000 aura. Doe is probably the most forgetful adult Rex for many fans. That is largely because The Lost World was clearly Buck's film. Buck did the chasing, the killing, and most memorable moments, while Doe mostly followed his lead. Her presence was felt, but she rarely took center stage, really making her feel more of a disappointment. However, props to her, she probably got the best ending of any Rex, getting her child back and being able to peacefully live a life in the Bison Sanctuary, so yeah. That being said, Doe does gain some much needed respect later in the franchise. In Chaos Theory Season 4, she returns alongside Buck to save Rexy and successfully fends off and even kills some of the dangerous Atrociraptors. So give credit where credit is due, because she had some redemption. Next up we have Little Eatie, who is a surprisingly solid Tyrannosaurus Rex, especially considering she lives in the shadow of her mother. Throughout Camp Cretaceous, she actively assists Big Eatie and proves her is far from weak. One of her most important feats is defeating Big Eatie in a dominance fight, which immediately establishes her as a legitimate force rather than just a side character. She also performs well in combat situations and even manages to land meaningful hits on Asset 87 towards the end of the series. While Little Eatie doesn't have sheer presence, intelligence, or dominance of the top 3 Rexes, she consistently fights hard and holds her own. Overall, she is a respectable Rex. Taking the bronze medal, we have Buck. Buck is one of the most aggressive and entertaining Tyrannosaurus Rexes ever put on screen, and he absolutely carried The Lost World. Every time Buck appears, the movie immediately becomes more intense. His most famous feat, smashing through a bus while sprinting at full speed, remains one of the most impressive strength displays in the entire Jurassic franchise. Even though Buck was framed as a villain, he is also one of the best parental figures among the dinosaurs, doing whatever it takes to get his baby back. His return in Chaos Theory Season 4 not only adds a legacy, where he helps save Rexy by killing Atrociraptors, but combines raw power, aggression, and surprisingly strong character moments, making him a top-tier Rex. Roberta, also known as Rexy, is the most iconic dinosaur, not just in Jurassic history, but arguably in all of prehistoric media. Her introduction in Jurassic Park is legendary, and her presence alone can elevate any scene she appears in. From a writing and character perspective, Rexy is unmatched. However, when it comes to strictly combat, her fights often lack depth, especially in later films where she frequently needs help to win. That is not her fault, but rather a result of how she was written. Despite this, Rexy's legacy, screen presence, and cultural impact are so massive that she easily earns the number 2 spot. No other dinosaur defines the franchise the way she does. At the top of the list is Big Eatie, and for good reasons. Big Eatie is the most complete Tyrannosaurus Rex the franchise has ever shown. She is incredibly durable, consistently dominant in fights, and most importantly, highly intelligent. When the people were trying to communicate with her through these iPads, they showed great self-awareness, something that no other Rex displays. Unlike Rexy, Big Eatie rarely needs help and repeatedly gets back up after taking heavy damage. Even at old age, she easily destroys the Atrociraptors and Allosaurus in her cameo at the end of Chaos Theory, proving her strength that has not faded. And yeah, that only reinforces her status. Big Eatie is the best Rex in terms of strength, intelligence, and independence. Truly the most underrated icon in Jurassic World. Well guys, that was my opinion on ranking every single Rex in the Jurassic franchise. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see some more analysis, and I do have a big video plan for Evolution 3, then please like and subscribe. And with that, I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.